Hi everyone, welcome to the Rugby League History channel. Tonight I'll be doing me tips for the 2021 preliminary finals. There's two massive games, two massive matches with backstories as well. Last week I got both me selections right for the elimination finals. Let me know if you got both of your selections right. These games are huge this week, so let's start off with the first one, which is between South Sydney and Manly Warringah. This one's kicking off on Friday night at Suncorp Stadium. These two sides share a lot of history when it comes to the finals. They've played each other a lot of times throughout the ages, and they've also played each other in three grand finals, 1951, 1968 and 1970. South's won all of those, and the 1951 grand final is still the highest scoring grand final of all time. They've also played each other in the 1957 preliminary final, which Manly won. The 84 final series, which South won. 2007, where Manly beat South Sydney. It was South Sydney's first finals appearance in nearly 20 years. The 2013 preliminary final between South and Manly. Who can forget that? Manly upset South. And in 2019, the two sides played again, and South Sydney come out on top in that. It's also South Sydney's fourth preliminary final in a row. There's a lot of talk about South Sydney choking and there's some sort of case and they've lost three preliminary finals in a row, but they've only, in these games, they haven't been the favourite in any of them. So I really wouldn't consider it choking. It's just that on these three occasions in a row, they've come up against a side that throughout the year they've been better, and they've been better on the day. There's also a couple of other things going in the match. Could this be Benji Marshall's last ever game in the NRL? Could it be Adam Reynolds' final ever game for South Sydney? And for Manly, they've got a couple of players leaving as well. They've got Marty Tapau that could be leaving at the end of the year. Curtis Sirilin's leaving Manly. Maybe a couple of other players are going to be leaving. I thought Manly did what they had to do last week against Easts. They put them to the sword, which I expected them to do so. South Sydney are fresh. They've had the week off. They've had a chance to look at the game plan. How are they going to stop the likes of Tom Trbojevic and Dealey Cherry Evans? And I think it's going to be a cracking match. I think it's going to be a very tight game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think that this match is going to finish 1-12. I think the key for South Sydney to win this game is that they have to stop Tom Trbojevic and some of the other key players for Manly, and they just have to do what they did against Penrith. They did the simple things right, and they got the job done over Penrith. For this game, I will go for South Sydney to win 1-12. I think that they can break their preliminary final hoodoo, and they can beat Manly to meet the grand final. The second preliminary final sees Melbourne up against Penrith. This one's being played at Suncorp Stadium as well on the Saturday, even though this game is going to be kicking off a bit earlier because of the AFL Grand Final clash there. This is only the second time that these two sides have met in a finals match. The first one was, of course, last year, the 2020 NRL Grand Final. The two sides have played each other twice this year. Round 3, Penrith had that memorable win over Melbourne, 12 points to 10. In round 20, Melbourne won 37 points to 10 over Penrith. But Penrith had about 5 or 6 players out, including Nathan Cleary, for that match. Both sides finished on the same amount of competition points this year. The only difference was the for and against. Melbourne finished with, I think, about 100 more points over Penrith in that regard, so they ended up minor premiers. Melbourne have had the week off and they will be refreshed. Meanwhile, Penrith were in an absolute arm wrestle in a really high intensity, physically draining match against Parramatta. It was the lowest scoring game of the year. It was just a game all about defence, and a lot of Penrith players would have left that match with some very sore bodies the next day. But having watched the match, I think Penrith's defence was very, very good. They gave Parramatta very little, and it went to show that they're the best defensive side in the competition for a reason, and that's why they finished the regular season as the best defensive side, because their defence pretty much won them the game. And I think that's going to be the key again for Penrith. If they're going to win this preliminary final, it's going to be based on their defence, I think. Their attack does need a bit of work, but as long as they get that defence right, they've got every chance of beating Melbourne. It's also another case of, if they're going to beat Melbourne, they have to make sure that they get off to a good start and they can survive the blitz, because that's been Melbourne's game plan for many years. Just blitzkrieg, just blitz the opposition early 20-30 minutes of the game, race out to a 24-0 lead or 30-0 lead, and then just sit back for the rest of the game, and basically the game's over after 20 to 30 minutes. So Penrith have to be very careful of that. This was supposed to be the grand final that everybody was thinking. Even from the earlier rounds of the year, everyone was seeing that this was going to be the NRL grand final. I did a video on this subject and I talk about it in great detail. It's very rare that the two best sides all year play in the NRL grand final. It's generally one team or the other that misses out. On this occasion, it's going to be one of these two teams this year. Everyone was saying I was a fucking idiot for even suggesting that Melbourne and Penrith wouldn't be playing in the grand final, and South and Manly and all the others would be making up the numbers, but once again I was right. Another thing that for Penrith that they could probably go into the game with a bit of confidence is, in the past, Nick from Australia has mentioned it, I have mentioned it, Melbourne have a history of choking in finals or games that they're supposed to win in the finals. Some of their fans have already declared that they're going to be premiers this year and they're going to make the grand final. But just remember 2006, 2011, 2016, 2018, 2019. They were supposed to win those years as well, and they didn't. So I'm pretty sure that will give some of you Penrith fans out there a bit of hope that, okay, you're coming into this game not playing the best, but you can cause an upset. And I'm really hoping that Penrith can cause an upset. I'm really hoping that they can. But I'm going to tip with my head, and unfortunately, I think Melbourne's going to win this game. I can see them winning between 1-12. I think it's going to be a tight match, but unfortunately they're going to win. But please, Penrith, hopefully yous can do it. So that is my tips for the 2021 preliminary finals. I'm going to be tipping South 1-12 over Manly to beat their preliminary final hoodoo. And I'm going to be tipping Melbourne to beat Penrith 1-12, even though I'll be secretly going for Penrith, but don't tell anyone. Anyways, that's me tips. Hope you enjoyed those. Let me know in the comment section below your tips for the preliminary finals. Anyways, this is Rugby League History, signing off. I'll catch us all in the next video, which will be the North Queensland review. Alright, tatty bye for now.